Welcome to FOP, Evergreen Lodge Number 1, the first and oldest fraternal order police lodge in the state of Washington. This is our premier broadcast on Bremerton Kitsap Access Television. I am the lodge president, Philip Calkert. In the coming months, we will be broadcasting information and opinions about current laws, subjects, and issues which affect the community, both in the country and the state. Today, with all the problems facing law enforcement, more than ever we need to stand united, vigilant, and unrelenting in our service and commitment to protect those who reside in our communities. I believe, as I hope all of you do, that the majority of people in our society passively support our endeavors. I wish to invite all current and retired police officers to join the Fraternal Order of Police. We will welcome you with open arms. We would also like to invite you, our neighbors and community members, to partake in our discussions of law enforcement issues. Join us as we continue to work to enhance and promote the positive endeavors of law enforcement on this show. Thank you. Today is our initial FOP broadcast. We have the honor of having the Kitsap County Sheriff Gary Simpson at the Brat Studios. I want to welcome Gary Simpson to us. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you, and thanks for inviting me to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. Gary and I go way back. We worked together back in the 90s on patrol. I was a sergeant and he was my corporal. And one story I just want to tell briefly is we had an armed robbery at the Redwood Plaza Theater. And we got a lead that gave us a license plate in a house in East Bremerton. And we responded over to the house, Gary and I and a couple of the deputies, and we talked to it was a young family there, and we told them that we had their vehicle fleeing. It was they were suspects, and asked if we could look in their house. And they gave us permission to search their house. We went around the house and checked, and had the deputies check, and they come back. We didn't see anything. They said the only thing we didn't check was the baby in the crib. And so we went to the mother and said, we need to just take a quick look at the baby. And she goes, well, she's sleeping, and it's hard to get her to go back to sleep. We go, well, we'll be very quiet. We'll try not to wake her. We just need to, so we can clear you guys. So she let us check it, and one of the deputies gingerly picked up the blanket, and first thing we saw was a sawed-off shotgun under the blanket with the baby. We recovered the bank loot, a bag of money, and the shotgun, and subsequently ended up having to arrest these people. It was a good lesson for both Gary and I, because these people came across as very decent citizens, and you know, you can't tell sometimes where the good guys from the bad guys, and this was one of those deals which, you know, you have to treat everyone with respect and honor, but you also have to be careful because, sadly, bad guys don't wear name tags that says they're bad. Anyway, Gary and I survived the 90s, and I ended up retiring, and he ended up staying there and becoming sheriff. So welcome aboard, Gary.
Thank you.
So,
and those stories bring back a lot of memories and lessons learned, and it certainly is one of those things we want to show compassion and dignity to all the people that we respond to and help in the public. And that was a good illustration of one of those situations where we could have just left and not made the arrest that we should have made.
Yep. So tell us a little about when you became sheriff.
What happened, what the changes are? Well, I'll tell you, being a sheriff and being a patrol deputy are vastly different. But a lot of the same activities are the same. I'm still a commissioned police officer and try to get out there and make traffic stops and help the guys when I can. But the focus for in being a position of sheriff is vastly different. I'm looking at not only the support staff, looking at what the deputies are needing, what the detectives are needing, and our corrections folks as well, but also what does the community need and how do we interact and how do we partner with the public to get the job done that we need to get done. So it's a much bigger, broader perspective that I have to maintain on a regular basis.
Okay, I can see that.
But it's been great. I've thoroughly loved the experiences that I've had being a member of the Sheriff's Office and living in the community that I serve for the last 34 years. Every day it's a new experience, and it's certainly rewarding to be able to make those partnerships and bring a quality public safety to our citizens in Kitsap County.
It must have a lot of frustration too, though.
Well, there's always frustration in every job, and it's probably the most frustrating thing is not being able to do all the things that we're capable of doing because of the challenges of resources. I think that one of the biggest things that we work on every day is trying to utilize the resources that we have as effectively as we can with what we've been given, and that's where we like to work with the public. One of the things I constantly say when I'm out in the public is that public safety is a public and community responsibility. It's not just law enforcement. We need the public's assistance to be our eyes and ears and to be doing everything they can not to put themselves in a position where they're victimized, but thinking about where you're going and what you're doing so that we're not having to call and do an investigation that might not be necessary.
And I agree completely. In fact, that's one of the reasons we're doing this show, is because we need to broaden communications between us and the public. We're all in this together, and there's not a day goes by that we're not learning something. And the more that we interact, the better, the more productive we can be.
Absolutely. The more that the public understands what our challenges are and what our limitations are, the more that they can help us, and the more that we understand what the public needs, then the better job we can do to respond to those needs. And we can't do it ourselves, and we rely on other law enforcement in the community, the other police departments, and even the military to help us with some of the things that we need to have accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. Back in the 90s, I remember swing shift. A lot of time we come in, we'd be backed up cases from day shift, calls that came in. And as the shift went on, mid-shift would come in. And when mid-shift came in, we get caught up in the backlog of cases or people that want to contact. But we'd only be caught up for a little while, and then it would fall back, and we're backed up calls. How is it out there today?
Well, we have some of the same challenges. I mean, a lot of things in law enforcement is cyclical, and it depends on the day of the week, the time of the year, what are the other activities are going on. We've developed over the last several years a shift schedule that allows us to do two things. One, we have one team that works for a certain period of time, and then they're off for a considerable amount of time for 3 or 4 days, and then we have another shift that does the same thing, and we're able to schedule our overlap days so that we have, those are training days, so we can use the resources we have better and get our training done at the same time. Now the schedules for the individuals, they're working a 10-hour, 40-minute schedule to where they're overlapping with other resources so that we have the number of people that we need at different times of the day when we need them. We don't need as many people at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning as we need 12 hours earlier when people are coming home and finding or discovering maybe a burglary that's occurred. So we're trying to schedule people to meet the demand for services better than we have in the past.
That's good. What subject or issue would you like to see be addressed in the county?
Well, there's a lot of legislation that's going on right now that people are asking law enforcement to be more accountable. I think that some of the legislation is good, and we're working with our community partners throughout the state to address those issues. The ability for us to deal with the substance abuse and the mental illness that we're experiencing in the communities today is drastically increased our workloads, and this is where we have to work with our community partners to help us help people that need the resources, need the help that we cannot provide. While we get a lot of training, a lot of experience in de-escalation, that's a buzzword that we're hearing these days, we do an excellent job in dealing with that. But what we need help with is for people to take the community members that are suffering from whatever issues they're dealing with and help us bring those people back to their capabilities, to where we can't spend the 5, 10, 15 minutes with them that is necessary. We'd make things safe, but yet they need a lot of additional assistance and help beyond that, where we need the mental health professionals and substance abuse providers to help us bring these people, restore these people's lives.
Yeah, I can see that. There's a whole lot of issues now that we didn't have to look at back when I was in law enforcement. And I know Dan, our treasurer and trustee, him and I are quite active in American Legion, and we also address some of those issues and try to work with Fish Line. In fact, I'm going to try to get the Fish Line director to come on here and explain the different resources they have available, because they just opened this year and they have all their resources in one place. And we have our service officers there, and they have resources for mental health and for the different issues that are quite overtaken this country right now.
Well, that's a good example of what the partnerships that we're looking forward to and are working with constantly, and we're glad that the FOP is helping us in that mission of getting the knowledge and the education out there to the public of the resources that are available for people who need it. Homelessness is a big issue that's been something we've been dealing with in law enforcement for, I know, for 10 years, having visited a couple homeless camps outside of the Kitsap County area, trying to bring in programs that'll help the homeless in Kitsap County, and we're still at a position where we're dealing with the we don't want this in my backyard mentality, which it's unfortunate, because there's a lot of programs that could be implemented in Kitsap County areas if they're picked selectively to benefit the homeless, and actually decrease the crime in some of those areas because of the programs that are put in place. And so I'd like to see some of those programs be brought to your broadcast as well, and be able to explain that outside of just law enforcement trying to profess the benefits of these programs.
And on our website, we have links to different resources that are available for different
Very good.
problems.
Very good. That's helpful. We appreciate that.
Let me address community policing, I guess, to a degree. Another little quick story. Back when I started, on a fat night, we had 3 people working. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there was only 2 of us. Sometimes you were the only one. And so, but we didn't have the calls that we have, that you guys have now. Right. And so we were encouraged to get to know the people in the community. And so we'd spend time, we'd go in the bar and play pool with the guys in there. Then when we went to a bar fight there, we had more friends in there than the people fighting, because they knew us. And we had the luxury that we got to know everyone in the community. Also, we were expected to know who was in our community. If a person was walking down the street, we didn't know who he is, we were supposed to stop and check him out and find out who he is, what he's doing. That is something you don't have today. I don't think you can do that like we did back then. And as busy as you are, what can you do? What are you doing for community policing? I think you have different resource officers that are involved in that.
Well, community policing, I think, is easier to be described as a philosophy of getting to know the community that you're serving. And I think the last several years we've been doing an outstanding job of increasing our opportunities to be more community oriented. Our officers enjoy talking to the public. They get in this job because they want to help the public. We've got organizations within our sheriff's office like the Shop with a Cop, which I think we were able to take 120 people, 120 youth, and pair them up with law enforcement officers to go shopping around the Christmas period of time. We've just established the Kitsap County Sheriff's Benevolent Foundation, to where that organization, which is a nonprofit that's associated with the Sheriff's Office but is not part of the Sheriff's Office, we're able to seek donations so that we can actually help the public more in those times of crisis. For instance, the tornado that we just dealt with in the Port Orchard, South Kitsap area, the foundation would be able to go out and be able to utilize their funding, not taxpayer dollars, but funding to go out and help the public. So we're doing more and more all the time of being involved with the public and getting to know who our public, who the people are that we're serving. We're having coffee with a cop or coffee with the sheriff's office. We've done that a few times where we just go out and have coffee and just have coffee and donuts. I like coffee and donuts. You know, they can make as much fun as they want. I like coffee and donuts, and we'll go out and have a conversation and discuss, you know, the challenges that we have and the challenges and the concerns that the public has in their community. We want the community to know that we're people first and cops second. This is what we do for a profession, but that's not who we really are, and we want them to get to know who we are. We got basketball coaches, we've got people that are in volunteering in the schools, so they're letting people know that we're out there being regular citizens as well as being police officers in the community. So we're actually doing better today than we've ever done before.
That's great. Glad to hear that. And that's what we're trying to do with Fraternal Order Police, is become more active, involved with you, your department, with all the other departments, and with the community. And you know, assist in any way we can with these projects that you have that are community related. So when you got one of these coming up, don't forget about us, give us a call.
Well,
and we hope to have you back more, and we also hope that your public relations officer can maybe come in and tell us things that are going on that in the community that the public needs to know or should know. Anything from alerts to public announcements.
Well, we would enjoy participating in that. When I got the invitation to come here today, it was one of those, yes, I want to be there, because this is another one of those opportunities as a partnership to get our message out, to be able to work with the community, and now partnering with the FOP to do that. We want our members of our organization and those that are in the Fraternal Order of Police to also be helping us and helping the communities that they live in to make our communities safer.
Yeah, I agree. Before I forget, back when you were Chief Criminal Deputy, you gave me a Sheriff's Office challenge coin. I'd like to give you a challenge coin
Absolutely.
for FOP.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll add that to my collection. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Sheriff, any last thoughts or comments that you'd like to let the public know?
Yeah, I think that would be an opportunity to remind the public that we're oftentimes put in the middle of many of the political issues that are going or that are out there in our communities today and across the nation. Please understand that we are required and asked and are accountable to enforcing the law, not taking sides, not being in a position to take opinions on what's right and what's wrong, that we are to be fairly applying the law to everybody. And we're asking that we're not put in the middle of these political issues, and allow us to do our job fairly for the citizens and serve the citizens of Kitsap County the best that we can with the resources and the talents that we have.
Thank you. On that note, Fraternal Order Police tries to stay non-political too, but we also have lobbyists that represent the laws that we feel are good for police and to promote them, in which there comes up sometimes some controversy on that. If any time you need us for that, for our lobbyists, let us know, and we'll direct them to things that if it's your concern in law enforcement or laws, it's our concern as well. And so we'd like to be made aware of it.
Absolutely. That's another resource, a way for us to get our message out to the public, and we'll utilize that the best we can.
Okay. Well, I think I'm pretty well said everything I can. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I think that this is a good start, and I'll be looking forward to the next invitation to come back, and encourage you to also reach out to the other city organizations and people like you've talked about before that are providing services to the community that actually benefit law enforcement in the long run. That I think would be a good guest for your show.
Okay, well, I agree. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you much.
Very good. Cut.
The Fraternal Order of Police was originally founded in 1915 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It represents today over 328,000 police officers around the United States in 2,100 different lodges. And in the state of Washington here, there are over 2,200 officers that belong to the Fraternal Order of Police. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our executive board, or have them introduce themselves. You'll hear TJ running around. He's our junior executive, and he's doing security for us. Okay, Dan?
I'm Dan Phillips. I'm the state trustee and treasurer for Lodge 1. I've been in law enforcement since 1989. After I retired in 2001, I decided to maintain affiliation with law enforcement through the Fraternal Order of Police.
I'm Tim Scholl. I'm the secretary for the Evergreen Lodge 1. I've been in law enforcement since 2014 and currently serving.
My name's Mark Miller. I'm the Lodge chaplain, and I've been carrying a badge and a gun since 1974. Retired in 2008, and now, of course, enjoying retirement.
Okay, our purpose of the Fraternal Order of Police is multifold, and I'll have the E-Board tell you some of the purposes. Dan?
To support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, to impart loyalty and allegiance to the United States of America, and to promote and foster enforcement of law and order.
To improve the individual proficiency of our members in the performance of their duties. To encourage social, charitable, and educational activities among the law enforcement officers. And to advocate and strive for uniform application of the civil service merit system for appointment and promotion.
In addition, to create a tradition of esprit de corps, ensuring fidelity to duty under all conditions and circumstances. To cultivate a spirit of fraternalism and mutual helpfulness among our peoples and members who we serve. To increase the efficiency of the law enforcement profession, and therefore firmly to establish the confidence of the public in the service of which we have dedicated ourselves, and the protection of life and property.
Our national motto is, law is the safeguard of freedom. Our website is FOP, evergreenlodge.org. And we have pages that link different resources available to the community and more information about our lodge. We look forward to coming into your homes once a quarter, every 3 months, with updates, and we encourage you to contact us, and we like to get community participation. Thank you.
We'd like to also thank the BCAT staff for providing this opportunity for us to use their facilities to get the information out for the Fraternal Order of Police.
Yes, we're very grateful. Thank you.